Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. How is everyone doing? Hopefully, everyone is being safe, keeping up with that social distancing nonsense that we have to do. Hopefully, nobody is too affected by what's going on. It definitely is a learning experience as far as all the precautions that we're having to take. Some more willing than others. It's pretty crazy when you drive out and you have to get like groceries or whatnot for the week, and you see there's hardly anybody on the road, but you go by a Home Depot or you go by Lowe's, and they have so many people in their parking lot that it's packed, and there's lines of waiting for people to go into the stores, just because everyone's shut at home, and everyone has all these honey-do lists or projects that they're working on to try to get it in. And then you go by Walmart, and that place is just a proverbial zoo. People coughing and hacking all over everything. I had one lady that in the Walmart that I was at, and she went to cough, and instead of covering up her mouth, she put her hands behind her back and just coughed right out in front of. You talk about, looked like she dropped a grenade. People just scattered. It was pretty crazy. So we'll check in on the live chat here. Rural Farm Boy Anthony, thanks for stopping in. Mr. Ez, always good to see you. Hopefully you guys are doing well. So yeah, I labeled this one just randomness of a fractured mind. Fractured mind is just mine. Of course, we all have our comings and goings as fracturedness goes. And I just had so many topics that were on my mind that it was hard to really narrow it down to what was, what I really wanted to cover. Normally I have pages and notes and things to turn to, but this week I really didn't. I just kind of, and here I'll show you, just general jotting down little things and that I wanted to cover. But yeah, there we go. Let me zoom in here. That way you guys can see my backdrop, freshly painted. My new sign that I have up here. Some stickers that of fellow podcasters and just general art and stuff. Let's see if I can get this here. I kind of feel like 2Med2, kind of showing off some of the things that I've gotten here recently. I'm going to try to, that was just my phone, zoom up if you guys can see that. My Battlefront 2 helmet. So a little close for comfort here. I dropped my phone. Hold on. There we go. All right. But it's coming together. I like it. It's a little place to call my own. It's to chat with you guys. I thought I said, yes, I do see Michael there. Michael, this is normally your shtick, but I am going to steal it because today I received a package in the mail. Oh, the Battlefront 2 poster, I got that from GameStop Managers Conference. And I was one of the few recipients to get one. They only made 10,000 of those. And that one is 2,560. So what's in the box? What was in the box was one of my all-time favorites, the X-Wing fighter model, but it's got the plexiglass disc that goes with it. So you put it into the disc and it looks like it's flying. There's no stand or anything that's really attached to. So I'll get to paint that up, put that together. I'm hoping it'll be a project that me and my son will enjoy. And also, I think I got 3 more Star Wars books in the mail today. They should be out in the mailbox. I just haven't run down there to get it. Yes, it is AMT. Oh, glare. Ertl. I always enjoyed putting those together. They're a little more detailed, a little more involved than the ones that they come out with now. Bandai has put out some models. They're actually really cool looking, but they're very tiny. They are detailed. Get used to where my camera is here. So, but they are tiny compared to, you got you have here's the cross-section wing of the AMT versus the Bandai model that they make now. And you just see the difference. Much prefer the older models. Always a lot more fun to put together. But we'll have that up soon. As far as the books that I've gotten so far, I have the Resistance Reborn, the novelization. I got Bloodline in the mail. I also have Lost Stars, Dooku Jedi Lost, and I believe Master and Apprentice, I believe, are the ones that are probably in the mailbox now. That way I can get my read on, get my Star Wars fix. The way I chose my reading materials is I went back through, I guess I used Wikipedia and went and pulled up the canon timeline of the novels, and I took out the young adult novels or the junior novels. I'm not really into reading those. Maybe once I get caught up on the collection, then I'll, maybe I'll pick those up at another time just to have everything complete. But so I started at the beginning, and I got, I think, the first 5 or 6 novels that they had there on the list, and I ordered them through Amazon. And Amazon, I found some really cool deals. Half price books had a bunch of deals. What was the other one? Goodwill had some that were on sale as well. I think the average dollar amount I spent for books, and they're in very good condition, was like $1.50 per book. So I thought I scored a pretty good deal there. And I'll start at the beginning of the timeline, and I'll just read my way through. and have almost a cohesive story. And I thought that'd be fun to try. But let's see. Oh yes, the small Bondi models, they are 1/44th scale, whereas the AMT models from the 80s and 90s were 1/72nd scale. So they are twice as small, but they're all 3D printed, and so they can get a lot of different details in there that they couldn't get with the original plastic molds. And Miss Kylo Flores, hello. I see you there in the chat. Here, let me throw this invite out as well in case there's somebody that is there that wants to join in. Let's see if that... Hopefully that went out. There we go. But yeah, so it's like I said, with this whole COVID-19 thing going on and the country coming to a halt, schools are no longer in session. So here at the house, I have myself. I'm working from the house. I have my wife. She runs her business. She's a Mary Kay consultant, as I've said before. So any of your makeup needs, I can get you a good hookup there. Skincare as well, all sorts of stuff. But yeah, that's So then I also have all 6 of my kids are now homeschooled. And are at various states around the house, plugging in laptops and computers and things like that. So yeah, it makes life interesting. All right, looks like we have a guest coming in. There he is. Oh man.
Give me a good test on my StreamYard, because after this past weekend's septic tank, StreamYard got really goofy with me and choppy. So that way I can maybe fiddle with this while we're carrying on a little bit and take a look at my settings and whatnot and see if there's something. Do I get a change, and I'll have a look as we go. So
Absolutely.
If you see me if I look like I'm not paying attention, it's probably because I'm goofing down there. All right.
Man, I'm jealous of that hat. That's an awesome hat.
Oh, my derby.
Yeah.
This is an original. She's 94 years old.
Wow.
Yep, I love my old stuff, so I do. It was a little chilly in here, and this thing's a wonder for holding some heat, especially where I'm lacking the means of keeping my own heat on my head.
Right. Oh yeah, it was today. I think this is going to be our last cold snap of the year. It's going to get down into the mid 30s, and then get high into like the mid 60s or so. But then by the end of the week, we're going to be back up into the 80s and 50s again. So not going to be too terribly bad. Just the last one, waiting for after this cold snap, then we're going to start planting our garden, I think. So
I suspect it'll be a couple of days before some of that weather heads over this ways. The rest of my week is going to be breezy and chilly. We ain't even going to touch mid 40s.
Right.
Highs.
So I'm glad you joined me, because there's a topic I've been noticing around on Twitter, and it's really got me perplexed. And it's the one that's been going around for a while. And it's the Marvel versus Star Wars, I guess, success rate. Whereas Marvel has really outpaced Star Wars in the movies, and whether it be dollar amount or number of followers or cohesive storytelling. That they have, because they have all these different branches and whatnot. And it got me thinking, that did Star Wars or Disney shoot themselves in the foot by discontinuing the expanded universe and starting over from fresh, just with the movies that were out there, and put out some new product? Do you think that that could have been, possibly, something that hurt them?
Did I see you post this earlier this weekend as a
Yeah.
question?
Yes.
I thought
Yep.
so. All right. Ah, Now I can only give that as in my opinion,
Of course.
because I know, there's that group of folks that won't go and do that and will paint their opinion out as though it's a fact. And yeah, that's things lately I've been seeing a lot of folks saying that on different shows to me, or in my opinion, which makes it very respectful and a lot easier for folks to get along. But my thoughts on, did they shoot themselves in the foot? I don't believe they did. As a matter of fact, I supported their choice, and amongst our age group in the fandom, I think I set myself apart amongst the rest, that from the beginning of what was now Legends, or it wasn't really the canon then, because even Mr. Lucas still said, those aren't my story. They ain't my stories. I don't. They're all right, and I gave license and permission to go and do that, but that's not connected to what he was doing. I was never a supporter of them. Like I've told many of our other friends, I went and got that very first Heir to the Empire novel, and I got maybe a third of the way through, and I put it down and couldn't finish it. Still to this day, I ain't finished it, nor the other two stories come after it. Mm-hmm. That's just me, and I don't run it around and put it down because I don't like it. It just, for me, okay, I didn't like it, still don't. No, I think they did do the right thing. We ain't never heard Mr. Lucas say it was the wrong thing, so I would think he was fairly, even he was outside that part by then and didn't really have a say one way or the other.
Right. Well, let me throw throw a little clog in there. So, Marvel's success is mainly through their interconnecting storylines. So, and I was trying to think, how in the world, did they manage to pull this off? Well, Marvel started in 1961 as Marvel Company. Yeah. With a lot of their characters and their story arcs. So year after year, and a lot of times that they'll run their story arcs like 2 or 3 at a time. They'll run, this quarter they'll run this story arc. This quarter they'll do this story arc. This quarter they'll do another story arc. And then after a couple of years, they'll start doing cross promotions. And so for years and years and years, with the comics coming out on a weekly basis, they had a much larger information pool to draw off of. They knew what was going to work when they made their movies, because they already had reputable sales numbers off of the comics. I don't really want to follow this comic arc. I'll skip this one and I'll collect the next 4 and go from there. So they kind of knew what was going to work and what wasn't going to work as far as their arc. They were already, they were behind. Star Wars was a little bit behind the gun to start with. So then I started thinking, well, let me crunch some numbers, because I'm a numbers guy. I love math. I love to see how things are going.
Good. So, and the next time somebody throws up a numbers question, I'm sending them your way, because Matt, RFB don't do math.
Absolutely. Yeah. Marvel, since they started doing the latest editions of their movies, I'm not going back into the 60s and 70s when they were doing like their B-run series and whatnot. But
No, Iron Man was the first in 2008, correct?
correct, yes.
All right, so they had 30 some, dang near 40 years to grow this up and up, and it did till it come to the point where they said, you know what, we're gonna give this a shot and do it in the way of telling stories by way of films.
Mm-hmm.
And what are they going over 10 years doing that now? Yeah, 12 years.
Yeah. So the worldwide box office numbers, 22 billion that Marvel has brought in. $22 billion. That's billion with a B. A huge amount of money that they did. But it spans over 23 films that they've done over that short amount of time. Comparatively speaking, I mean, we started in what, 77 and have 11 films?
Lucasfilm did 12.
Yeah.
I count the Clone Wars film as it was in theaters on this here continent. Whether folks choose to like it or not, it was in a theater. It was a theater release. It was a feature film, 90 minutes.
Right.
It's the 12 of all of them. Yeah, whether folks liked it or not isn't a thing. It counts.
Right. So we have 23 films for Marvel versus 12 films for Star Wars. Okay. So if you break it down even further, you have 981 million on average per film for Marvel. Okay. Star Wars started he started production in 1975 and started writing out his ideas and whatnot for it, and it was released in 77. They've had 12 films and they've had over $10 billion. So half as much, but less than half the movies. So, and theirs is, I believe, 933 million per movie is what they have. So, not bad. It's the when I looked at the numbers, it wasn't as far. It wasn't as far off as I thought it was going to be, because you've had Endgame was over $2 billion alone. You had Iron Man had a ton of money. Let's see, they had 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of the 23 Marvel films made over $1 billion. Then they've had some real clunkers that 263 million, 370 million, 519 million. Not that those are clunkers, but when you compare them to the $2 billion mark, they fell way short. Where Star Wars has only had one that failed to really produce at the box office, and that was Solo. Yeah. But they released that right after The Last Jedi, or right before. Right before.
5 months. 5 months after.
Oh, after. Yeah, okay. I knew it was somewhere in there. But yeah, so with little marketing or anything, and it still made more than what it cost to make it. So it actually made money. It's now what they call, I guess technically a cult classic. With Perez, make Solo 2 happen. Oh, hey Kilo, sorry I didn't say hello earlier, but he's in the chat.
Yeah, I seen he was yelling in words in there, in a manner of speaking.
Right. So I mean, it's really as much as I like the extended universe, because I really did. I enjoyed quite a bit of it. Because at a time where I wanted to retreat to Star Wars, there wasn't a whole lot that was going on other than the books. And so I really got in with it. Now, some of them I wasn't quite, like the, the Zahn trilogy, the one that you were talking about, Heir to the Empire? And then
Yeah, the original one from '91.
yeah, there were parts of it. The Crazy Jedi I didn't quite get. Joris Sabaoth. Uh,
Yeah, Joris Sabaoth.
uh,
Yep, me neither. Me neither.
it just seemed just odd. It was a little, yeah.
Hmm.
I think it was a little too sci-fi
Yep.
than what I thought Star Wars was to begin with. So, but
Yep.
I
You
think
and I see it similar. We see it
yeah.
similar. You and I do.
But I did read it. I did like some of the characters in there. I like some of the ideas that they put off from there. I liked. Uh, I like the idea of the Emperor's Hand. I really liked the Thrawn character. I'm glad that they came back and brought him in later in a more Star Wars esque type role. But it just I don't know. It's really hard uh, to get a handle on whether they could have or couldn't have done better. Maybe we could have gotten some more movies. Maybe Disney Plus would have happened a little bit sooner if they would have included the extended universe. So, just because they would have had more of a pool to draw from instead of having to come
Hmm.
up with more, all this fresh stuff. So, you know,
Well,
uh,
that's one thing that folks did kind of go and run around for a bit, especially uh, I'll say a portion of them that weren't really. They had some expectations and turned around and said they'd rather had Heir to the Empire made as a film. And even up into that point in our Star Wars fandom history, even the early '90s, uh, that was about the tail end of time as films were made in general, not even in relation to Star Wars, where films weren't really made based upon novelizations like they were when in the
yeah,
early late mid '70s, late '70s, early '80s, where there was novels first, and then you got a film about it, and that was only
mhm,
some things that weren't everything. Yeah, that didn't happen. Coming, that was about the tail end of it. And when we got into the 2000s, that's when novels started falling up. When films was released, you got the film in the theater, and then months later, you got the novel about that.
right, yeah,
Yeah, so that would have never ever happened, and will likely never happen unless it comes out in the way of a fan film. Anything that was from the old canon, and I think the further along it went from post Return of the Jedi stuff, as far as Legends went, it went just all over the place, and in some
mhm,
little parts are connected, and a lot of other parts didn't. When it got into the prequel legend stuff, then things really connected up, and a lot of that would have been fun to have kept in canon, but it weren't.
yeah. And I kind of like what they're doing now is now that
Mm-hmm.
they have it established on what they wanted to do. They got the original trilogy, they got the prequel trilogy. They're done with the sequel trilogy, and they kind of picked a little bit here and there from the extended universe, and they're slowly pulling it into canon.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff that really works, I thought, in the extended universe is what they're pulling into the canon timeline, and I really enjoy that. It gives me. Um, I get excited when I see that because I know it's like, oh man, what are they going to do next? Where are they going to pull from next? And what's going to be the
And
next
you
big
just said
thing?
you're just getting set up and fixed to getting into reading what they started with.
Hmm.
Because there's a lot of those stories. Yeah, I've already done through the way of audiobooks. If I could go put down my playlist sometimes, I would surely love to go back and give some of them a re-listen because they are really, really good. And yeah, see, that takes me back to, I want to say it was a year and a half ago when Leland Chi put up a tweet. It was around about the time I jumped into Twitterverse saying about he just could not believe how much stuff that was getting picked out of Legends and brought into canon. And we're still now to this here day seeing just what all that is. And I suspect they ain't done yet.
Oh, I don't think so.
There's a lot that really surprised me. I would have never guessed to see coming from, and a lot of them I'm happy with, because like you were saying earlier about being happy with some parts. You used the example from Heir of the Empire. Mara Jade never sat well with me, and neither did Thrawn, because I always knew at that point that there were the Galactic Empire was formed and made up of all humans. It was anti-alien, everything, everywhere, all the time. And then in the comics and later on, post ROTJ stuff, they started including, because the Empire was fractured and they were kind of starting to include it to keep up their troop numbers. They were including different alien species, and I thought, no, that's not, even without Palpatine around, that's not how the Empire would work.
Right. Yeah.
So when they went and reintroduced Thrawn and told the story through that novel that Lucasfilm asked Mr. Zahn to go and rewrite and introduce into canon, and then I went and heard that story, then that made sense to me, because it had Palpatine's blessings,
right,
straight from. So then he sat all right with me, and I know some folks are still holding on to Mara Jade's coming. Well, she can't. It just won't. There's not a possible. I don't know how to tell a Star Wars story, but there's some little bitty things, and a lot of it I get wrong, but some of them I might get right. And this one looks right as rain to me. I don't know how there's a way that they would be able to fit her in. It would, and if they did, there would not be able to be any kind of in relation to Luke. That wouldn't work.
Right. So that kind of brings me into another point or another topic that I was thinking about. Here, I guess it was about 4 weeks ago, my show, I was talking about the new Vader comic, and the last shot that they show on there was a shot, and Vader says Padme. So
that one. All right.
Yeah. So Vader he has to go check out this disturbance on this on this planet, and he gets there, and he's face to face with Padme. So that, of course, set the world on fire. How in the world? What did she? Is she alive? Is she dead? Is it a hologram? Who is it? So might as well do the spoiler. Weep, weep. All right. For those that haven't seen it, it has been revealed. It is not Padme. It's her handmaiden.
Sabe?
So they go through, and she's, at first she says, I am the queen. I am, it's, I'm the one that's in charge. I have, I'm the one that's been in hiding because of this, that, and the other thing. And then, Vader's, they keep going through flashbacks of, different things between Anakin and Padme, and, and it doesn't sit right with him. And so it comes out where, they start to talk about how she went to go investigate. No, you're Sabe. You're the handmaiden. You're the one that went and broke into her quarters and to go investigate what was going on, and investigating Padme's death. And so they're bringing up this whole plot of Queen Shadow in this new Vader comic, which I thought was pretty cool, because now it's starting to tie it back around into the novelization. So I thought that was pretty sweet, the way that they did that. So this
past issue, how long back was that released? It had to be only a matter of days, I'm guessing.
About 2 weeks ago.
Because I don't keep up with the comics. What I do is use my playlist and friends' shows in it that covers comics, or in sections of, like a splash page or such. that deals directly with comics. Yeah, that's how I keep up with. I ain't heard anybody talking that I can recall recently. This most recent issue, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty cool, and I like the way that they kind of brought it together, almost a full circle. And then, yeah, I won't spoil the ending of that, the comic, but that's I thought I can't wait now to go and get the next one, just so I can see where this is going. What are they going to do? Because it's set in between or right after Empire Strikes Back. So it's right after Luke denies him and falls into the thing, and now Vader wants to go track him down. And we were sorry, I'm having a little.
Well, that brings me to that. No, you're good. You're good. That just brings me to one question, and I'll let you to figure if you feel it's a spoiler and don't want to speak to it. Then I understand that. But does he let Sabe walk away from all this? Does she walk away living?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
I mean, I can go on. I don't mind.
Well, if it's been out for 2 weeks, I would expect folks really keeping up with the comics.
At least,
they already did.
2 weeks. I saw it 2 weeks ago, and it's probably been. I think March 17th is when it came out, so almost a month ago.
So that's about the time that Marvel was saying they were going to stop putting out physical copies, and if folks wanted to keep up, you got to do it digitally. So yeah, a month ago, no, there's everybody that's kept up with it is already on, and everybody that ain't, I'm in the same boat they are. That I won't expect that they'd be feeling too badly about being.
All right. So basically, Vader is so upset that he realizes that Luke is his son. It's like 100%. It's like there were rumblings. And I even asked a question because I couldn't remember. How did Vader find out that? Because I always see at the end of New Hope, we have Vader flies in. He's behind him. He says, "This pilot's strong with the Force." Han comes in, blasts him away. He goes carting off. And then in Empire, then we have, he already knows about Skywalker. And so I'm like, well, who told him? It's.
I remember who, and even I didn't follow the comics, but I followed that enough back in, it had to be original Star Wars run. Somewhere in, I don't remember what the hell this number was. But you're leading up to him kind of dispatching Boba Fett to see what he can find.
Yeah, it's 1980, 1981, somewhere in there, I think, is when that was. I had to go back and look it up because I couldn't remember either. And yeah, so he gets the information. So now after Empire, when Luke spurns him and jumps off into the trash compactor or the trash little chute. I don't know what it is about Luke and trash chutes, but they just they have a magnetic attraction or something.
That was his sister's fault.
Well,
she's the one that found that and then started all that. That's a different thing. That's a different thing.
So he's upset. Vader is upset because Luke is so strong with the Force, but yet he's in his mind he's so weak mentally. Because he doesn't understand his potential. He didn't see the good thing on what he could do if he joined with Vader. So he says he's weak. Now he wants to go and punish those that made him weak. He wants to go punish those that hid Luke from him, after Padme died. So the Emperor, the Emperor tells him, what happened to Padme, and the Emperor says, she's dead. And of course, you get that at the end of Revenge of the Sith, but no one said anything about the children or the child is all he knows about at this point. So so now he wants to go and punish those that hid Luke from him and punish those that have made him weak. So he goes to Tatooine to investigate what's going on, and then I'm trying to remember how it. Goes to Tatooine and then goes to her quarters on Coruscant, and Padme's, because they've been closed off and no one's been in ever since her death. And then he notices that there's a little tracker device in there. And he traces that back to this planet and then sees Sabe. So once they have that confrontation, they realize who is who. Vader's still Vader, and he realizes that she is Sabe. So now Vader offers his hand to her and says, let's go find out what really happened to Padme. And they go on a shuttle together. And then now it's going.
This is really looking to me like they're really doing this in really kind of long form. Is you can see all the little hints of it. Is they're fixing to set this up to start to kind of humanize Darth Vader, Anakin inside. So by the time it hits Return of the Jedi and Luke is brought to him on that landing platform. And he's like, Luke tells me, no, you're still Anakin Skywalker, my father. And then what leads up to Anakin making that choice when he sees his life in jeopardy to put Darth Vader down. Yeah, I think they're taking him through all this little thing to slowly start putting that human part of Anakin back that's inside of Darth Vader. I'm guessing. I mean, I'll be glad to eat some crow if I'm wrong on that. So we'll see how that turns up, and I'm sure it'll take a bit yet.
I think you're correct. And from what I've seen kind of going around is that Vader was already planning on trying to take over. He mentioned it in Revenge of the Sith to Padme that, I'm stronger than he is. I can take over. We can rule the galaxy together. She died. Empire. We'll overthrow the Emperor. We can take over as father and son. Come on, help me out. Didn't work. And, it's so he's always plotting to try to get this. And Palpatine is such a master manipulator. And the torture that he puts Vader through to keep him in that dark side energy and that anger is it's relentless. And wow. Yeah, it's hard to fathom the torture that Anakin has gone through. Every time that he starts to get a little crack, Palpatine will shoot him with lightning or knock him down a few pegs or, throw him in with a Thrawn type character. He'll have him, bend a knee to an officer that is lower rank, and the Emperor just absolutely loves it and keeps him in check. So I think that's what it's going to come out to is that Vader is going to become more human. He's going to get that ability back, and the Emperor, I think, is going to make one too many mistakes, and Vader's going to be able to hide it from him until at the right time, because Palpatine was unaware, I think, of that Vader was going to do it at that point in time. He thought that he had succeeded, and it gave him a shock when he was thrown into the reactor, and he had to act quick, and he wasn't fully prepared to do that essence transfer or whatever in Revenge or Rise of Skywalker that we get to know about. So I don't know. It's cool, and I love it because it's keeping me engaged and interested on what's coming next. What are they going to do? So yeah, I'm really excited for Star Wars, and then you throw in the High Republic stuff that they're doing.
And
And
we got some time till we get up onto that, and some of them new books you says got mailbox that you ain't like laid an eye on any page of any of them yet, have you?
no,
Ooh, do you know what's your pick that you want to start with? Because if you ain't greatly certain, I gotta recommend.
I think I'm going to start with Dooku Jedi Lost, because
Right.
that, as far as the timeline, that's the one that starts first.
All right, so you're gonna go timeline wise. Yeah, it would
I
be.
was going
That's
to go
about
timeline and see how well that gets me. I mean, I know a lot of I know the premise of Bloodline, although I haven't read the book, but I know what it's about, and so now I want to read the details. And some of the other ones, I know the premise of the book, but I don't have the nitty gritty and the detail that I want. So
the one I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on is, yeah, my recommend would have been, but since you're going timeline, I think this would end up being the second one out of the lot that you got. Would be Lost Stars. I
Lost Stars.
cannot wait for you. Oh, I cannot wait to hear what you think, because it goes behind the story and follows it, kind of like what Star Wars Resistance did in relation to the sequels. It ran parallel, but beside, or just off to the side, as some folks would say. Yeah, Lost Stars does that pretty much. Not pretty much. It does it before A New Hope, and then it runs just behind in the way of the story, taking you through things you're familiar with that happen in different points of that story.
Oh, that's awesome.
A few years, quite a few years before the story of A New Hope starts, clean up into right about the end of the Battle of Jakku. That whole 5 years. It's a 5-year span when you count the Battle of Jakku, which took place a year after Return of the Jedi. So yeah, we know the original trilogy takes place in the span of 4 years. So if you throw in that year after Return of the Jedi is when the Battle of Jakku happens. Yeah, there's a 5-year story that you get to spend with them characters. And I know folks goes and says it's a young adult novel. Understand the definition of what a young adult novel means. It doesn't mean that the authors intended it for young adults. It means the characters that take place in whatever that story is, in this case it's a Star Wars story, are young adults. That don't mean that it's meant for my girls. It's for anybody. It's just so that you know that the characters in the story are young adults. And yeah, you're going to love them. They're the best. They're the best.
Even some of my favorite books are considered young adult. Harry Potter. I love the Harry Potter series. I mean, I don't know.
You got ink?
I got Harry Potter ink. When I first read the first Harry Potter, I was like, man, I can't even get through this. It's just, it's written for such a young audience at that time, 12, 13 years old. And I found it hard to get into. And then somebody I was working with said, no, once you get past the first one, maybe two, then it really starts to grow on you. And I got into it as book 3 came out. So I read the first 2, then bought the third one. And then by the third one, I was hooked. And yeah, it was good. Percy Jackson and the Olympians, young adult book, but I love mythology. So I had to pick that up and read it. Hunger Games, I read those books, and those are considered young adult books. Some of my favorite, favorite subjects, are considered that. So I don't mind, that part of it, whatever they want to label. Just tell me a good story.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I never did Harry Potter. I didn't do the Hunger Games novels. My girls did and loved them. And then when the films come along, they got me hooked into watching that.
Hmm.
Especially my Abigail. Yeah, when it was first out, she would just put it on, and it would just be a loop. It would just be back to back to back to back. And at one point, I just sat down with her and started watching. I thought, oh damn, this is a good story. This is it. And then yeah, and then I went. I had to go hunt them all up for myself, and that's something else I should go and do. I've been jumping back into Firefly a little bit. I
Hmm.
think once I finish that up, I might have to go back through and break down break them down into maybe like quarter type parts I can do them because I usually sit and watch. I'll lay and watch something after I wake up in the morning before I get up out of bed and then start my playlist up and stuff. That's when I
Right.
usually do my watching. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Hunger Games sounding good to give a watch to again. Yep.
Awesome. So let's see. I'm trying to think what else I had because I don't want to run over too much time because we got Two Med 2 coming up soon. So
Yeah,
don't want to go.
he's gonna have a full StreamYard house, so I think I'm just gonna be floating around in the chat because there's gonna be four of them on there, and yeah, I'll keep it on chat room so that lot can go and carry on and have a lot of fun. I do want to ask you on a side note, what is Star Wars Through the Ages Twitter? Because I can't find it.
I don't have. I reduced it down to one. Just my.
Charlie
Um,
Red 4.
yep. And just
Alrighty, now that explains why I can't find it.
yeah, I just it was getting confusing trying to go back and forth and tweet and retweet, and I'd get double, triple
Mm-hmm.
messages, and so I just I condensed it down to one. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think it's a little more.
All right.
I like technology, but sometimes too much of it, and especially on Twitter, because you say one thing, next thing you know, you got 30 retweets and in 150 comments. Not that I have those numbers, but I'm sure you do. It's
Mm-hmm.
and my phone's going to be constantly blowing up, and so I can just kind of manage it all through one account now and go from there.
Yeah, I still only have just the one that's me. I don't see any other reason to have a different. I can only be me. I can't be nobody else or under any other sort of. No, the only reason I asked it was because not too long ago, who the heck was it? Somebody not too long ago asked for new Star Wars podcast and meaning year or less. I think it was Brandon from Clashing Sabers.
Okay.
It wasn't this past weekend. It was weekend 4. He went and asked, and I woke up in the morning and I seen that. And there's a couple folks were kind of pitching their, well, here's me here. And I thought, wait, you're asking, and I seen that question? I want in on this. You're asking me who's new? I will tell you everybody that's new. And
Right.
then yeah, it went on for what was it? What did I make it like a 3-page tweet? Because I went and gathered and when I went hunting for Through the Ages, that was the one that stumped me. I sat for 45 dang minutes trying to find Through the Ages, and I couldn't find it. And I thought I should have just DM'd you and asked you instead of asking you live on air now, week and a half later. Yeah, that's when I kind of end up getting holy crap, way more attention than what I was aiming for. I was just fixing to be a help to somebody who was asking a hand. You said you want to know who new shows are? Here's 70 of them.
Right. No,
Yeah.
you are the podcast archivist. That is for certain. But all right, so let me get your thoughts on
Sure.
the Mandalorian and Ahsoka possible live action news. What do you think there?
Hmm. Well, if you know me, I'm not one for speculation.
Mm-hmm.
Though I do deal in spoilers, and I keep them to myself. And that's mostly by way of friends of ours like the Bespin Bulletin and Mr. Ward. Beyond that, if there's a way that Mr. Favreau's found that he wants to write her into this in a way that we ain't expecting, then that's surely what he's going to do. On speculation. I can't say that I have any wants because friends that know me know I don't know how to say I want to see this or that in whatever given Star Wars story it is. It's a film or if it's something what's meant to be Disney Plus or a novel. If he can make this work and do that, he did it with a 50-year-old child that we weren't never expecting and smacked us all upside the head with it. And look where we're sitting with it now. Everybody loves it, absolutely, and introduced us to a whole other side of what Mandalorians are that we would have never ever expected, and we love it and eat it all up. So he can find some way of fitting her into that part of the story. Just what you said, yeah, I'll put it in the pot and boil it all the way down. Just simple, just what you said just a short while ago. Tell me a story, and if it includes her, that's a story.
I like the character in Clone Wars. I like the brief appearance in Rebels. I haven't read the book yet, but I heard it was pretty good. Not sure if it's canon.
The novel Ahsoka?
Yeah.
The novel Ahsoka? Oh, it's canon.
Okay. So I wasn't sure if it was or if that's one that they just kind of put out and it's just classified under Legends. I didn't know. So I'll get that one as well, and I'll read that. A lot of people are, were complaining about, if they get Rosario Dawson to do it, and it's just going to be awful. And all I would have to say to those people is go watch Sin City. That's an action flick. It's a Frank Miller movie. It's mostly all black and white, and there's several action scenes that are in there. She's in Daredevil and does some action scenes. She can definitely pull it off. So I'm kind of excited to see what they do with it. If she's in there, great. If she's not, okay, great. No big deal. We'll cross that bridge later. But if they definitely have an actress that can pull it off. It's not Ashley Eckstein, but it's okay.
No. Ashley's the voice.
Yeah.
And yes, she's an actress. She's done some film, and that's been a little ways back. I'm sitting for myself. I'm sitting in a fortunate spot because I know little to nothing about Miss Dawson. So I can't say, well, I would never go and say that I hate this actor or an actress. If there's something just ain't for me, that's something I keep to myself, lest somebody goes and asks me my thoughts on it, and then it'll only go about that far. Lucasfilm ain't done any kind of wrong yet. Throughout of the 40 years, they've been telling these different stories in live action kind of forms. And even now, we got new storytellers that are entrusted with telling these stories in a way that Lucasfilm and the storytellers know how Mr. Lucas would have told it. They're not going to disrespect that. They will not. Watching the Skywalker Legacy that come with Rise of Skywalker, that 2-hour feature showing how most of Rise of Skywalker was put together and what all Lucasfilm went through in that, 2-year period to put it together. Love and sweat and blood and tears that it took, and how much everybody from all the assistants to the fella in the back to the studio sweeping, put every ounce of love, fandom that they got, because they're all fans like us, they put into it. Lucasfilm, if they feel that Miss Dawson has what chops they want her to have to tell this story, then she's in, and I've got every faith and trust, and I would hope most of our fandom would do. They're not going to do this wrong. I mean, they even asked John to come and do this, and he's doing it. And for 8 chapters, well, maybe there's 8 more coming. It's going to be something new and different to add to this. It's going to be the same way, and we're going to love it. They feel that she's the right one to do it, then tell me that story, because she can be it, and they'll see to it that she'll do that. She already said a couple of years ago she's been wanting to do this. Here we are. Let her do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just tell me the stinking story already. That's all I want. Just give me the story. I don't want to wait till October for Mandalorian to come out. I want it now. Just dump it. I want it.
See, I won't be that kind of impatient. I'll say yeah, we gotta wait. We gotta wait. And when it's time to be told that story, then that'll be the time when it's time. I can wait. I'm in no hurry. We're already flying into. We're halfway through April already. Where did the rest of? Where did March go? No, I'm not in a hurry. I want to get there and see it same as the rest of us. Just for me, I ain't in a hurry. Take your time. We got stories in between yet to be told.
Oh yeah, I know. It's it's Star Wars, and we just I know you and I both can't get enough of it. So kind of drives my wife crazy a little bit, but that's okay. Yeah, but yeah. Well, that's all I had for this episode of Star Wars Through the Ages. Appreciate you jumping on.
Anytime to sit and talk, even if it's only a matter of minutes with our friends, I'm all in for sure.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll have a few minutes. So grab a drink, grab something to eat real quick, and then we can hop on 2 Med 2. Don't forget, everybody, if you're listening, if you're here in the chat, which I think most everybody's jumped off now, but join 2 Med 2 Star Wars Network here on YouTube for a live chat. He normally has some really cool guests on, and then whoever jumps in to get tanked, then that's who's going to jump in. But appreciate those.
I already know.
Oh yeah,
I know who's coming up in. Yep. in 15 minutes.
Right.
Everybody head on over to the big old back to tank. We all going to jump in together.
All right. So Miss Christina, thank you for jumping in. Mr. Rez, Kilo, 2 Med 2, it was good to see you. And we'll see you guys soon. Thank you.
See you in the back to tank. Evening, Star Wars friends. May the Force be with all of you.